Hi guys, it's your boy Kelvin Emmanuel. Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be reacting like 10 insane weapons created by the Germany army. So guys, I literally can't wait to get to this video because this is my first time reacting to this video, and I love Germany also. Germany is an amazing country. So without further ado, let's get to the video, guys. I'll see you guys in a bit for the inner review. Buckle up, guys. This is going to be long, right? Let's go, guys.
Nazi Germany was a full-fledged war machine. With the extensive use
Indeed.
of the Blitzkrieg war strategy, the Nazis managed to conquer a huge part of Europe with a minimum loss of manpower. But they were able to do this because of their advanced weaponry. Many of their weapons were later adopted and developed by other countries. But luckily for us, the Allied forces were able to crush the Nazi army before some of these inventions were able to see the light of day in battle. Here are 10 weapons invented by the Nazis. Stay tuned to number 1 to find out which one could have single-handedly changed the course of World War II. Number 10. The Horten 229. The Horten 229 became famous as the first stealth bomber ever. The prototype for this Nazi weapon was created by Hermann Göring, who wanted to make a lighter aircraft powered purely by jet engines. Göring had the famous 3x1000 plan, an aircraft that would carry 1,000 kilograms of bombs, travel 1,000 kilometers per hour, and to reach the distance of 1,000 kilometers. Horten 229 was allegedly equipped with stealth technology. It had a sleek design, and apparently it was very hard to detect via radar. The initial test proved very successful, but there were some problems that the Germans needed to fix. They spent the entire year of 1944 to come up with a better design and operational features for this aircraft. When a model took off in February 1945, disaster struck. One of the jet engines caught fire and just stopped working. The pilot initially survived the crash, but died a couple of weeks later due to his injuries. At this point, the Nazi forces were working against the clock because the Allies were closing in on them and they didn't have enough time to further develop the Horten aircraft. However, they continued working on it until the Allied forces were able to confiscate it. It finally landed in the hands of the U.S. Armed Forces, who used it in developmental research for their own stealth aircraft. Number 9. Zielgerät 1229. This military device, which is also known as the Vampire Scope, was an infrared attachment for the Sturmgewehr assault rifle. The main purpose for this device was to be used during the night when visibility is very low. With it attached to their assault rifle, German soldiers were practically able to see in the dark. Considering the time it was created, this is one of the most advanced pieces of military equipment ever invented. The Vampire night vision was first used pretty late in the war, in the winter of 1945. There were some experiments a couple of months prior to this, but it wasn't anything serious. When it was introduced full-time, 310 German units received this device. If it had been introduced sometime earlier, it might have had more of an impact on German military success, because it enabled a soldier to move around and shoot in pitch-dark places, such as caves, but also in forests and mountain ranges with or without the moonlight. However, because it came into being in the early days of 1945, it was luckily too late for any type of mass production. Nevertheless, the device definitely worked well. Number 8. Kugelblitz. Kugelblitz, or ball lightning as it could be translated, was an anti-aircraft gun with a rotating turret. By 1943, it was clear to the German commanders that they had to come up with an effective anti-aircraft weapon. The reason was simple. By that time, the German Air Force simply didn't have enough power to stand against the increasing attacks of the Allied bombers. The Allies were gaining supremacy in the air, and the only way to fight them was from the ground. Thus, the Germans started building several types of self-propelled guns for anti-aircraft warfare, which could be mounted on a Panzer IV chassis. That is how the Kugelblitz came into being. It had the basic structure of the Panzer IV tank, the chassis was the same, and the turret was mounted on it. A highly effective aspect of the Kugelblitz is that it could go around its axis 360 degrees. Again, the problems with frequent Allied attacks combined with the need to defend on several fronts prevented the Germans from placing the Kugelblitz into mass production. There were only 5 prototypes, and allegedly, they were all used in the battle for Berlin. Number 7. Fallschirmjäger. Fallschirmjäger, or parachute hunter, is the name of the German paratroopers. Although the idea for using paratroopers didn't originally come from Germans, they are responsible for introducing them into combat. This is because the German paratroopers were the first such military units to be used in airborne operations on a large scale. They were very effective, so much so that the Allied soldiers refer to them as the Green Devils. The first airborne units were created in the 1930s at the behest of Hermann Göring, who wanted to include these units into the regular German Air Force. German paratroopers were an important part of the occupation of several European countries, including Denmark, Norway, Belgium, Netherlands, and France. But they were also employed by the Italian and Balkan campaigns as well as on the Eastern Front. They were also known to perform successful raids and covert actions, becoming an integral part of the German army. Number 6. Schwerer Gustav. This weapon is also known as the Great Gustav, and it was the biggest cannon ever built, but also the biggest cannon ever used in combat.
So
this
huge.
massive weapon was being developed in the late 1930s, and its main purpose was to destroy the major French fortifications on the famous Maginot Line, and thus weaken the French defenses. The Maginot Line had the strongest defenses at the time, and it was crucial to create a weapon so strong to literally annihilate the Maginot Resistance and provide an easy access for German troops. When fully assembled, Great Gustav weighed 1,350 tons and was capable of firing 7-ton shells up to 30 miles. The original plan was to prepare the cannon for the Battle of France, but they were not able to meet that deadline. The German army decided to go without it, and when they experienced initial success and the Maginot Line collapsed, there was no need to rush things. So, the making of the Gustav was prolonged. It was finally ready for the siege of Sevastopol in 1942. Gustav proved very useful, but in April 1945, the Nazis decided to destroy it so that it wouldn't fall into the Allied hands. Number 5. Fritz X. Fritz X is a German armor-piercing bomb that was precision-guided. It is generally considered to be one of the very first smart bombs in modern warfare. It was designed to be an anti-ship glide bomb and was the first of such to sink a ship in battle. Fritz X was operated on radio command system via joystick, and it proved very effective in combat. This bomb managed to take down several merchant ships, such as the Royal Navy ship Uganda and the U.S. cruiser Savannah. However, it achieved its greatest success by taking down the Italian battleship Roma and damaging the battleship Italia on September 9, 1943, as they were going toward the Allied forces to surrender. The magazines on the Roma exploded and it soon sank, but its sister ship Italia, although badly hit, managed to reach the coast of Tunisia. Soon after the initial success of Fritz X, though, the Allies began developing their own electronic countermeasures to try and keep Fritz X at bay. And by the time of the Normandy invasion, the Allies had air supremacy. They were able to block German electronic ordnances, making Fritz X practically useless. Number 4. Flettner Fl 282. The Kolibri, or Hummingbird as it was also known, was a single-seat German helicopter, the first mass-produced helicopter ever. This helicopter was actually an improved version of a model the Germans had been working on. Initially, the idea wasn't to use this helicopter in combat. Its primary use was to transport objects from ship to outpost patrols and scouting missions. But as the war moved on, there were thoughts about using the Fi 282 on the battlefield as well. At first, there was only room for one soldier, but the improved B-2 version of the chopper had an additional position at the rear. This version proved highly effective in spotting enemy artillery posts. The helicopter was also excellent when it came to operating in bad weather, which was a signal for the German Air Ministry to go into mass production of this unit. In 1944, the German command ordered 1,000 units to be manufactured by BMW, whose Munich factory was producing German Army aircraft at the time. The production started, but only 24 helicopters were made because air raids by the Allied forces resulted in destruction of the BMW facilities. Number 3. STG-44. Sturmgewehr 44, or Assault Rifle 44-inch, was the first weapon with a shorter cartridge which enabled a soldier to control automatic fire, compared to the standard used by infantry soldiers at the time. It was very effective and influential because it ushered in a new era of assault rifles and automatic weapons. Sturmgewehr 44 is the first assault weapon of its kind to be mass-produced. It is generally considered one of the most important technical advancements since smokeless powder because of its reduction in muzzle impulse. This is also one of the most important military inventions by Nazi Germany, not because its impact on the war, but because of its later influence. The operational principles of this assault rifle can be seen in Kalashnikov's AK-47, as well as the famous M16. Number 2. Panzer IV. This was one of the most heavily used tanks in the German army. It was a medium tank developed in the 1930s and produced 8,500 units. Panzer IV was a reliable piece of military equipment as it was the only tank to be continually produced during the war. It was regularly upgraded and improved. Panzer IV took around 30% of Germany's total tank power. It served on both the Western and Eastern Front, as well as in North Africa. Considering all the technical aspects, it is absolutely clear that Panzer IV was the best German tank at the time. On June 6, 1944, at the moment of the Normandy invasion, there were 748 Panzer IV tanks present in the area, and they played a major role in the German resistance against the advancing Allied forces. Number 1. V-2 rocket. This could have easily been the weapon to change the course of the war, but luckily, the Nazis didn't have enough time on their hands to finish it. The initial development and construction of the V-2 rocket started in the 1930s, but the weapon didn't see any battle action before 1942. The whole idea behind constructing the V-2 was to have the ultimate revenge weapon, as the Nazis called it, because they were infuriated by the Allied bombings of German cities. In retaliation, the Germans were planning to use V-2 and cause destruction on a massive scale. On June 20th, 1944, V-2 became the first object ever to travel in space from Earth when it was launched vertically. The V-2 rocket would rise 10 kilometers into the air and then fall down in a curved path at the speed of almost 6,500 kilometers per hour, hitting the ground hard and exploding several feet below the surface. It came into use in September 1944 when it was launched against London, Antwerp, and Liège, where it killed several thousand people. However, as the Allies were advancing towards Berlin, they managed to capture key manufacturing points in Germany, and eventually, all the members from the V-2 team surrendered. The facilities where the V-2 was manufactured went to the Soviets, who moved production to the Soviet Union. At Zero to Hero, we are definitely glad that the Allied forces won World War II, but the German army definitely had some unique and deadly weapons that they had invented for the battlefield. What weapons did you think were the most intense?
Right guys, we've come to an end to this video. All I can say is wow. Germany has so many history. You already know. Germany have so many history. What actually got me thrilled, what actually got me my mind blown was it started from top 5, the top 5, down that huge tank. I was like, wow, the ammo tank was huge. And guys, what actually blew my mind is the number 1. That V-2 rocket was amazing. Like, what? That was huge, guys. It was so extremely huge. You all can testify that Germany, their weapons are like massive destruction, like massive destructive and everything. You know, down to the World War II and everything, their history. What? You all know Germany is like a strong country, actually. So, guys, leave a positive comment on the comment section. Let me know what weapon got you thrilled. What weapon do you actually like think is actually cool? Kindly drop a comment on the comment section so we can both talk about it. And guys, don't forget to share videos like this you want me to react to. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video. Hopefully, have yourself a wonderful day. Peace.